Being in China for so long, I have encountered my fair share of different kinds of classes. I've taught business class, I've taught interview classes, I've taught, basic ESL classes to high level classes. I even helped some of my parents with their interviews when they apply for jobs abroad. For example, one of my clients applying abroad was applying for the Fujifilm's director for the California area, and of course she was working in a related field in here in Hangzhou, and she wanted to apply. And I think the greatest thing that when it comes to interviewing skills here, is that they memorize everything, and that doesn't always work out because usually when they conduct interviews, they ask questions that spout off more like a discussion. So it's not just one question and then move on to the next question. So having ESL students do that, they have the English skills, but they memorize everything. So asking a follow up question tends to throw them off. So I find the best way to train those kind of students is to actually pretend to have an interview while asking follow-up questions, and then stressing the point that they need to be prepared for follow-up questions. It in Basically, they come in, you ask like, a basic interview question like, how do you plan to help our company? And then they give their idea, and then you answer maybe 3 or 4 follow-up questions. Most interviews will not go into 3 or 4 follow-up questions. Maybe they'll just ask one, but the variety helps them to prepare for what question could possibly arise. And I found that to be highly successful, especially with when they're interviewing to go abroad for colleges or jobs abroad. So they've gotten the jobs. I've only had one that did not get the job, but the point is that you have to get them to understand it's not like just one question. It's always a discussion, and then moving on to that discussion, and then also following into that discussion. So for them, that is quite different from what they're used to. So I think it's more or less understanding how they do interviews here in this country, and then also understanding how they do interviews for that particular country that they're applying for. So, getting them to understand that that's probably the biggest step, because they always want to memorize everything. It's like, it's fine, you can memorize what you have, but you also have to be ready for additional follow-up questions. And so, doing this online, it's strange for them. So, I would also recommend giving them interview questions from other places. You can type in, what kind of questions do they ask online, and then you can show them like, these are some of the questions they'll ask, and so forth and so forth. So I find this works very well, especially with older adults, because they tend to take the job more seriously, so they want to study everything possibly. But preparing them to respond outside the normal questionnaire box is the hardest thing for them, because they don't have the language skills for it, or they can't really think on the spot as quickly. So developing those skills where you want them to be able to think as quickly as possible is probably going to be the biggest factor for them that will help them the most. I hope this helps you. Thanks.